Folks, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Saurabh Pol. Welcome to Pol Ke Bol. Today I'm going to talk about Boomerang employees and why returning to your workplace might be a tricky decision slash situation. So this is about like what is a boomerang employee? Essentially, you are someone who has quit a company and you're going back. You're boomeranging. जैसे आप boomerang फेंकते हो, it comes back. Similarly, you leave a company and go back to the same company, either in a short period of time or in a medium period of time, right? Long period may people are like, okay, whatever, it's been too long. But usually boomerang employees are the ones who are like, yeah, I just left now and within 3 months I'm back, or within 1 year I'm back, right? It happens quite often, frankly, and it's a very normal thing, right? It's a very normal thing that people leave and they're like, you know what, oh, I'm leaving for a better opportunity, or you know what, this place sucks, or you know, I want to go to a better place, or you know what, I want better pay, यार यहाँ पे मेरे को हाइक नहीं दे, यहाँ पे मुझे प्रमोट नहीं कर रहे हैं, or something or the other, and then you're like, okay, I'm leaving, and you leave, and you realize the grass is not, it's just greener on the other side, no doubt about it, but it is not real grass, it's astroturfed, and you're like, oh my god, I don't like this place. So what do you do in that situation? You go back where you are most comfortable, your previous company, and more often than not, your companies actually take you back. In fact, according to some research papers, like in 2023 in India, BFSI and IT companies, like 15%, 15% of their hires were boomerang employees, like people who had left and they have decided to come back again. Now, where does this happen? Why does this happen most often, right? This happens in places where the talent is short, in not in terms of height, there is a talent shortage in the sense, right? क्योंकि यार इतने लोग नहीं है यहाँ पे जितने हमने सोचे थे, मतलब you know, and they are like कि okay, there are people trying to enter the industry but they lack the context, and there is very high competition, you know, to retain employees and all. So companies also prefer boomerang employees, sometimes, although there are some companies who are like, once you leave you'll never be hired back, but then there are many companies who are like, अरे तू गया था कोई बात नहीं, आ गया ना कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, आ जा भाई, अपने यहीं पे आ जा. Because see, there is an advantage to companies when you come back. The first advantage is that you are known quantity, more or less, right? Like, you may or may not be good, or you may or may not be bad, but you're known. You are predictable. They know exactly who you are, what you are, what your deal is, right? So they are more than happy to go for you because they are like कि हाँ, you know, इसको ट्रेनिंग करने का कोई गरज नहीं है, ये आएगा कल सुबह, ये काम पे आएगा, दोपहर तक he'll be back in the races. There's nothing to worry about. एंड इसको कुछ ट्रेनिंग का गरज नहीं है, इसको कुछ मतलब इसको तो बस लैपटॉप सेट करने का गरज है, उसको तो मैंडेटरी भी ट्रेनिंग का भी गरज नहीं है इन अ लॉट ऑफ वेज, राइट? बट वो करना पड़ता है. द पॉइंट इज कि दे लव दैट प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी अबाउट यू, द लैक ऑफ टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट, द हाई ROI दैट दे विल गेट फ्रॉम यू वेरी क्विकली. Correct. Usually, employees take at least a quarter or 2 quarters to start responding to the company's training and to start performing, right? But a boomerang employee, you just know कि भाई इसको सब पता है अपना, ये आके ही perform करना start करेगा. So that way, yeah, they really like people like that, right? Next is they know, you know, that exactly what you want. You can negotiate. You know they know your salary. Okay, you can't lie to them. उनको पता है कि what you're good at. They know your worth, right? So very rarely will they be able to scam you. Okay, will you be able to scam them also, rather? So they are like कि ठीक है, it's a fair negotiation to happen. So that is how boomerang employees definitely help companies, right? But how do these companies help you if you are a boomerang employee, right? Like if you are someone who's going back to your old company, how does that help you? Once again, it acts as a, you know, डूबते को तिनके का सहारा काफी. So it is basically like if you're in a desperate situation, you always know last gasp, you know, last resort, you will always go back to that company in general and be like, यहाँ पे I can safely be here. I know everything, how everything works over here. Good or bad, I know it. There is predictability. The known devil is better than the unknown devil, and many a times like one in hand is better than two in the bush. So when there is too much uncertainty in life, you always, human beings tend to fall back to the known predictable option, right? So that is where it is advisable कि आपके लाइफ में बहुत उथल पुथल हो रहा है, go back to that old company. आपका अगर employment में लफड़ा हो रहा है, that old company is very helpful, right? It's a shade in a way. Another thing is that sometimes, many a times, you can actually get a hike कि आप अगर 100 रुपए कमा रहे थे 1 साल का, तो चल लेट्स कॉल इट लाइक 10 लाख रुपीज़ यू आर अर्निंग. You left somewhere else, you got a 30% hike or 40% hike, you are at 14 lakhs, right? Then what happens is like you want to come back and then you are like भाई मुझको कम से कम 15 लाख चाहिए. ठीक है, they're like ठीक है यार आजा, आजा वापस आजा, 14 पे है ना तू, 15 पे आजा 1 डेढ़ साल में. What happens is within 1 year, 1.5 years, you went from 10 lakhs at the same place to 15 lakhs at the same place, which is like a 50% hike essentially within a span of 1 year. Yeah, of course, you went to that other company and came back. So many, I know so many people who have done that. In fact, I'm stating conservative numbers. There are many people who are basically like, भाई 10 लाख कमाता था, आज मैं 20 कमा रहा हूँ इसी जगह पे. Basically, they just went out and doubled their salaries in 1.5, 2 years, right? In the same place, in the same setup, where they're like, मुझे problem तो कोई नहीं था इस जगह से, बस मुझे पैसे उतने नहीं मिलते थे, which I have solved. So now they are happy. You get me? Many a times they will come back and the company will be like, you know what, come back and now at this point you will be a manager. तेरे अंडर हम और लोग देंगे, तेरे को हम ज़्यादा teams देंगे and so on and so forth. I have known a lot of people who have boomeranged in all the companies I've been at. There have been boomerangs. All the companies. There's not a single company I've worked at where people haven't left and come back. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता because this is a very time tested method यार. People, and this is a mutually beneficial method also, right? Like कि boomerang क्यों करना है and also as I mentioned कि पैसा मिल सकता है आपको, promotion मिल सकता है, you know, you can, and or it can just act as something which is a fail safe, which is like bro मतलब कहीं हो नहीं रहा है तो मुझे यहाँ पे वापस आना है, correct? So it works for you that way. But what most people don't realize is that many a times when you are trying to get back to a company, now the company has leverage over you, especially when you are trying to come back in the short term. Assume you leave a company in January and things don't work out for you in your new company by March, April. आपको जाते ही पता चल जाता है कि भाई झूठ बोला था मुझको, कल्चर बहुत खराब है यार, मुझसे हो नहीं रहा है, or otherwise the culture is great but just financially it hasn't worked out. There were some layoffs that have happened, the business hasn't worked out the way it was supposed to, right? Or the way it was projected, and that company is like, hey sorry, we can't afford to you know, continue paying you what we are paying. In fact, we would ask you to either take a pay cut or leave. What are you going to do then? Are you going to start searching and go back in the job market again? No. Most people, they are going to call their company, the old company they left in the month of January, and they're going to be like, hey, please, can you, you know, just take me back? You know, I'm ready to come back on the salary I left. It's been only 1 quarter. I'm sorry. You know, or in a way that, hey, it hasn't worked out. And those companies will be more than happy to take you back, by the way. You get me? Those companies will be more than happy to take you back. That's the funniest part. But when they do take you back, they're not, you know, you will kind of come back with a bit of tail between your legs. You know, that's the reality of the situation for you. They will essentially be like, you know, ki, okay, you are earning 10 lakhs with us, you are gonna come back at 11 lakhs. Sorry, that's the way it is, because the other company may have taken you up at 14 lakhs. We are not gonna pay you 14 lakhs. You knew our deal. बात करके मैं 12 लाख कर सकता हूँ तेरा. So essentially, you went from 10 to 14 to 12, which is great, but it has really hurt your ego. It has really hurt your self-respect in a lot of ways. It has messed up with your accounts in a lot of ways. For all you know, you had to shift from one place to another, one city to another, right? And it has screwed up your future plans. Because now you cannot leave this company where you have come back to, at least for a while, because आपका CV खराब होगा उससे, आपका experience खराब होगा, market में नाम खराब होगा, वो company तो आपको पक्का blacklist करेगी, if not officially then unofficially. What are you going to do then? So you go back in, not in a position of power when you boomerang immediately. Okay, if you boomerang after 2, 3, 4 years, people love you. I've seen that. That is a decent one. But if you boomerang immediately, companies, they do not really, you know, give you the leverage or the power that you desire, which is understandable, right? It's like आपका breakup हो गया and 3 महीने बाद आप वापस आ गए कि नहीं यार, नहीं तू ही अच्छी थी. And you think that girl is going to take you back with open arms? No, she's going to make you work for it, right? So that's one way of looking at it, right? So think of it as boomerang and all of that. That is one situation, right? Although it is not always a bad thing. You know, I always say that be a bit flexible in life, but when you go back, also remember that you now cannot, unless it's a very different situation. Also remember, always keep your doors open in life, right? You cannot leave a company with your bridges burnt. I've always maintained that, and I'll always maintain it. Please, having burned bridges in the past in my career, this is like a warning. Do not do that. Don't burn bridges. It really turns very nasty. People don't like it, and it gets bitter. No one wins out of it. Plus, in India, especially, employers have a lot of power. Don't mess with them, right? What happens is, you if you fought with someone and you left and then you came back, that manager is not going to be nice to you. वो कितना भी professionalism लाए, that manager is not going to be nice to you. In fact, if you left a place because of toxic work culture, I would highly avoid going back. Recommend do not go back. Do not go back, because ठीक है आप मतलब you know you will go back thinking fuck, I can't sit at home, but if you go back you will lose your mind, you will lose your self respect, and you will genuinely hurt yourself mentally. Yeah, वो होगा आपके साथ, because that company is not going to change. That company is not going to change. In fact, it's going to get worse for you, because you left a bad relationship in search of a better one. You came back, that bad relationship is just going to turn worse, right? So definitely keep that in mind, right? Companies do not change, guys. Companies have a culture, and that culture changes for nobody. Okay, if at all there is a change in culture, it happens with the change in entire leadership changes at the top. That is when company culture changes, which is also extremely rare. If there is like a hostile takeover, if there is like a buyout, only then does a company's culture change drastically. Otherwise, a company's culture does not change drastically ever. It will always be the same, or it changes gradually, and it is rarely ever worth it, right? So that's what I'm saying. I though have no example of a bad company turning into good over a period of time. At least I mean, I don't know, especially bad work culture wala companies. I don't know. It is very tough to do that. It is very very tough to do that. So I'm just saying, when you go back, be aware of it. But if you left a place because पैसा कम मिल रहा था, that's fine, you can go back. But if you left a place because आपको तंग कर रहे थे, आपको परेशान कर रहे थे, आप वापस जाओगे, it's gonna get worse. Please do not go back. That would be my recommendation, right? And if they promise you something, कि अरे तू आ जा, अभी तेरे को हाइक नहीं देंगे, तेरे को 6 महीने में देंगे, राइटिंग में लेना. I know people who were told that हाँ, you come back and we'll sort you out, and they never did. They're like, अब क्या करेगा तू? As I said, the leverage and the power is with the company. So please keep that in mind. That is the most important part, right? And in India especially, people need to remember that we look at things, everyone does, but in India especially, we look at things from the lens of loyalty. It's like, were you, oh, छोड़ के चला गया? You think you're better than us, huh? क्या बे? Because we are still not, we take things personally, not professionally, because we are personality driven companies. We are a personality driven nation, not a personality, not a process driven nation. How can you expect our corporates to be any different, right? So we are extremely personality driven, and we are proud of it. We are proud of it. So the problem is, if you piss off the wrong personality, you have to pay for it, right? So just remember that, right? And these personalities do not like it if they see any perceived humiliation or disloyalty. They will not look at their side ki maybe I did something bad because of which this person left. They will be like, ये साले ने मेरे को धोखा दिया, इसने मुझे दगा दिया. Okay, it will always be that. It will always be that. And in some ways, in India, if you really want to be at the top, you most likely have to exhibit some egotistical tendencies. At least I feel that way. Although not everywhere, but in many companies I've seen that, and many people complain about it in a lot of ways, right? So there is that. So anyway, folks, those were my thoughts on Boomerang companies. Boomerang employees. Sorry. Uh, I would say it's a situation based thingy. Go back if things haven't worked out. That's fine, but do not go back to a toxic workplace. And when you're leaving a company, do not burn bridges, and definitely do not go back if you had a bad boss, because that thing is just definitely gonna get worse if nothing else, right? So yeah, that was me. 15 minutes of Gyan on this Sunday night. I can see there are a few of you live right now. I'm more than happy to take a few questions. I can see there's a comment. Karthik, hi. Paul, hey Karthik, how are you? What's up? How is it going? What's up? How are things going, Karthik? And others, for that matter. I'll wait for a few minutes for any more comments and I can answer your questions. विम्बल्डन चालू है, क्या कर रहे हैं? विम्बल्डन. Hmm. Alcaraz 6-4 first set. Sinner 5-3. That's pretty crazy. Cool, folks. I don't think if there are any comments or anything else from you guys, I'll just drop off. Have a great Sunday, remaining 2 hours, and have a great week ahead. If you're new to Polkeball, please like, comment, subscribe. Always helps.